But speaking of that, I think we can wrap up on this sort of concept of this idea of risk because we tend to be very bullish on the show and talk a lot about all the positive things, and I think we have our good healthy dose of skepticism, but it can be easy to forget that there's a whole lot of risk associated with all of this. And so in maybe we'll add that make this as a new section of the show, our nepotism section. We're going to talk about two articles, only partially nepotism. For the first one is an article written by Jason Bloomberg of Intellex, and I used to work for Intellex. I used to work for Jason, and so that's my nepotism. But he had an article about uh, basically the inevitable Gen AI crash that we can chat about, and then the other one is your brother wrote an article or a post, I guess, but a super long post, basically an article on LinkedIn about Perplexity's recent spate of lawsuits against them. And
Mhm.
so we can chat about both these, but both risks that I think if you're a CIO, you need to be thinking about. So I'll kick off on the Intellex one. Jason has always been a bit of a skeptic. And basically what he's saying is, hey, been here, done that. We've seen these sort of bubbles before, and that there's going to be a crash. I'm not sure I completely agree that there's going to be a crash, but I think it's unquestionable that we're in a hype cycle and that there's just all kinds of craziness to be had. The biggest thing that I think that I took from it was that he identifies a handful of things that, as he said, smart moves to protect yourself is what he calls it. And the first is follow the business value. Could not agree with it more. This idea that it's always needs to be focused on the business problem that you're solving, and if that is your guide, then you're going to be um, in a good place. And then to kind of spread your risk, right? That it's not about just AI. This is what we are just talking about. It's not about just Gen AI. It's not even just about AI. That there's all these other forms of ways that you can create value, and you need to be mixing all of it together. So there's a whole lot of it in here, but I thought it was a good reminder of we need to be looking at both sides of this.
Yes, but I think the skepticism needs to be balanced. So if you look at the companies that are billion-dollar startups right now in the AI space, yes, a bunch of them will crash and burn. No doubt about it. And if you are investing your resources in any of these billion-dollar AI startups, call it OpenAI or Anthropic or Cohere, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, you need to have a backup in place for any of them. I don't care which one you're using, because I think it's very likely that a market leader will fall apart. If you look at the .com era, we were talking about companies like Yahoo being the internet. And obviously, that's not what came to pass. Yahoo and AOL are no longer the dominant internet forces that exist now. Flip side is, if you worked at Yahoo or if you worked at AOL, you were dealing with internet scale problems that ended up being extremely useful in your career. We laugh at, and Jason even brings up, pets.com. We all bring this up as a joke. But today, the idea of selling pet food on the internet is a gigantic billion-dollar business. The problem was not that pets.com was a bad idea. It was just early and we lacked some of the technical capabilities to make it happen. But if you worked at pets.com, you probably were able to use that knowledge for the next 20 years to figure out all of the things that could go wrong with scale out internet services, and then how to solve them and how to use that going forward as new technologies came into place. So there's a lot of useful skills that will come into play by looking at AI now. But some of the individual tools and companies that exist today, yes, probably won't be around in 5 to 10 years.
Yeah, I think that was at the end of the day his big message, right? You got to hedge your bets. You need to be looking at this pragmatically, and I think we've been hitting that tone a lot. But it was good to see it sort of all brought together in one place with this nice skeptical clickbaity title.